Hi and welcome back to a boat called Wanda. Well, this is the last update before Christmas, so I have to say Merry Christmas to everybody. Now, last update I mentioned that I'm getting the engine lifted out, and today's the day that's happening. I've got a little bit more preparation to do before that happens. And also throughout the year I've gone into the engine room occasionally and done a little bit of work on it. So let's have a look at some of that footage that I've taken previously but not yet put together and shown you. Now, I've been staring aimlessly into this engine bay for quite some time now, anticipating what I'm going to do to get this engine ready to be moved out. One of the biggest challenges I've got is this massive exhaust manifold and water combiner with a mixing elbow up there that goes up and then back. So this actually restricts movement back further that way, and I do need to get back further this way to get down to the coupling. Now, in one of the initial updates I showed the state of the engine coupling, which is pretty poor condition, as you can see down there. I'm still trying to work out how I'm going to get that undone, because it's just really one rusted hunk of metal, and I'm pretty sure as soon as I put a socket to those nut bolts they're going to just snap off. First thing to do is to take this riser off. I'm just also going to start cutting out or ripping out all of this electrical stuff, because I'm going to rewire the whole boat. And I'm going to replace all these on and off battery switches with just one master combiner. So yeah, start to rip out all this cabling, get the riser off, get the coupling undone, and then I can unscrew this cockpit floor so the engine can be lifted directly out. Well, that's the theory anyway. Well, it's pretty tight in here, as you can see. So I've just got that exhaust lift off. That was pretty hard. I got the grinder off at one stage to try and cut it off at the bottom, because the bend was obscuring the nuts, or the bolts rather. But the grinder wasn't making much progress on it. It's really, really thick, hardened steel, I think. Okay, so let's have a look at the status of this work here. So down there is that coupling which was rusted on, and those bolts that were holding it together had to be cut out with a hacksaw blade to enable the coupling to part, which it has. There's the manifold and dry riser which has come off. All the fuel pipes have been taken away, and all of the electrical work that was here has just been ripped out, and that'll all just get thrown out. So as you can see, it's pretty tight down here and pretty dark, so I think taking this lid off up here should be the first thing that I do next, in order to let light down into here and perhaps give me a little bit more working space. So I'll do that now. Well, I've finally found the perfect task that needs this piece here. This is advertised as a cutting tool for cutting through silicon and rubber, and it really burns through this. And there we go. I've got a nice big cavity here. Well, it's going to make it a lot easier to work down there now. Now, according to the Yanmar manual, the engine is 770 centimeters long in length. Now, if I measure out 770, you can see that it's actually bigger than this cavity here, or this hole. So I think some of this stuff up here must be able to come out, because obviously they got it in. So aside from sort of lowering it in end up, I'm assuming some of this comes out. But I think I'll just go down there now anyway and start removing all the bits around the outside that could get caught on the engine when it's coming out, to sort of clean that up a bit. And I'll also see if any of this stuff here can be taken out. Okay, there's one last thing to do now, and that's to undo the nuts that are holding the engine down to the engine mounts. And the aft two look very, very rusted on, and These could be a little bit tricky to get off, so I'm just going to have to do a little bit of work to get them to come loose. Okay, so let's go through the favourite old routine of lubricant, heat, now some gentle tapping, and finally some brute force. Ah, yes, you beauty. I really didn't think that was going to work at all. No. Try again. Ah, yes. Yes. Ah. 3 out of 4. Now, of course, we always save the best for last, and the last one is very difficult to get to. There it is there. I can't get the socket set around it because there's this piece jutting out here, and I've got just a little bit of swing room here to get a spanner. So I'm really hoping this one won't give me too many problems, and I'm hoping it's going to be nice for me and take pity on me. Oh yes, and it did. Lovely. It actually had some lubricating spray on this a couple of days ago, so it must have done the job. Okay, so I'm really pleased. That was so much easier than I had feared it would be, taking those 4 nuts off the engine mounts. They've all come off. There's nothing holding the engine down. All the pipes have been disassembled, all the electrical stuff's been removed, the coupling has been sawn off, and she's ready to be lifted. Just one question remains, and that question is whether an engine that's 770 centimetres long will fit through this space that's about 680 centimetres across.
Right, okay Richard, happy?
Yeah. It seems to be kind of stuck on this end one.
Right, go on then, up you go, nice and slow.
Just watch that. Can you see that? Yeah, that's it. Got it. Okay, looks good. Now, it was at this point where my heart sank a little bit. That doesn't look good, and that's very, very rusty. I was always worried what might be at the bottom of the sump. There was oil throughout the bilge. Where could that have come from? Was there a hole in the bottom of the sump? Well, this does look very rusty. Wow, look at all that space in there now. Well, this is a moment I've waited for ages. I'm now in the engine room, sitting on the bilge fuel tank, and this is great. I just really want to jump in here and start ripping stuff out and getting on with it, because this is the part of the job that excites me the most. But to be honest, it's probably a bit of a procrastination of what I really should be doing, and that's, you know, sanding up on deck and getting it ready for painting. So with some regret, I'm just going to have to put the cockpit lid back on and put the grate on and just shut this room down for a rainy day, and hopefully I'll get back into this early next year and get on with some more exciting engine room projects. But for now, it's back to the usual program. Okay, well the excitement of yesterday's engine lift is well and truly over, and it's time to get back to working on the deck. Here's one thing I'd like to show you. This is one thing that I'm actually quite pleased about with this laminating work that we did. Here's basically the butt joint between two of those big layers of laminate that we put down, and you can see there's a little bit of a line there, but it's actually pretty good, so I'm really pleased with that. Just going to take a little bit of sanding and it's good to go. Right, well it's time to get on to something more interesting than sanding, which is what I've been doing for the last day, which looks like what I've been doing too. And that interesting thing is going to be doing a little test. Now that test is going to be which of these devices is going to be the best size and the best shape for creating the perfect radius along the side of this tow rail and also along the side of the coach roof. So I'll just go down and mix up some epoxy compound now and come back and we'll do that test. Okay, I'll start out by cutting a small hole in this piping bag. Let's put down a smaller amount of material for these smaller diameter tools. See how that goes. And this is very much an experiment, as I have no idea how this is going to work out. So let me try this radius spool first of all. Now I think straight up I can see that that's going to be probably too fine. So I'll move to the next largest piece. Just get rid of that. And let's get rid of that. Okay, I'll open this up a little bit more to get more material coming through, and I'll try a teaspoon. This is the small black one. Oh, that doesn't look too bad actually. Next up I shall try the larger of the two teaspoons. I mean they do have, no, they have exactly the same shape, so I'll just skip to the white one. This part really is fun for some reason. It's incredibly satisfying to squeeze this stuff out. Okay, the spoon. Okay, and finally I'll try this dessert spoon, I guess. Stolen from the home, so hopefully my girlfriend's not watching this. And I think that's probably going to be a little bit excessive. Okay, so there we are. By the way, this is using the 407, which I've decided to use just because it might have a little bit more substance to it than the 410. And I think I'll actually mix a little bit more colloidal silica in with this to give it a little bit more substance and resilience. But essentially this is what we've got. There's the one done with the radius spool. There's one done with a small black teaspoon. There's the one done with the larger teaspoon here. And this is one done with the large dessert spoon. And I think it's going to be either this one here or this one there. So I'll let them dry, come back and sand them back a little bit and see how they look, and then blitz the whole deck in a few goes. Great, well as you can see back here, Father Christmas has already arrived for me. Well, sorry to break the myth, but I actually bought the presents, not Father Christmas, and they're all for me. But like any good Christmas present, I have to wait for Christmas Day to open them. So you'll have to hang tight and come back and see me next week when I open up these beauties. So, Merry Christmas to everybody. Thanks for watching me over the year and for posting all the likes and comments and, hey, even the dislikes if you have to. So have a great Christmas, and may your Christmas stocking be stuffed full of Festal and Makita products. See you next week.